Toronto Maple Leafs season ends by losing in 5 games to the Florida Panthers. Now, I know all Leaf fans are going to bicker about the Riley no goal and the Nick Cousins goal, which should not count because Radko Gudas was holding his stick. But here's the odd thing. If you can't score more than 2 goals on Bobrovsky, then honestly, how are you going to win a series? Because refereeing is just part of it, but every team is going to have calls like this, and it's up to them to bounce back from it. If a goal is disallowed because of a mysterious call, just bounce back. Just keep pushing. And unfortunately for them, they couldn't. They only scored 10 goals in this series, 2 in each game, and the core four was invisible. The only player that was consistent in this series was William Nylander. And even though he only had 2 goals in this series, he was creating offense on this team. Matthews was invisible. Marner had that only goal in game 4. And John Tavares, who has the most points on one team, which is the Panthers, didn't produce at all. So now comes the off season, and look at all these UFAs that hit the market. Good luck with that, but that's not important right now. What's important is that the core four could be split during the off season, and will make perfect sense because they may need to bring a new goaltender if Samsonov hits the open market, which we'll talk about later on, or bring in a new defenseman. But let's go over some of these contracts because some of these contracts have something that we need to know about. Matthews' contract has 1 year left. And that deal, 2022-2024, has a no movement trade clause. So he can demand some money if he wants to stay. Or if they can waive his no movement trade clause and get traded. But that's just up to Matthews. William Nylander, he has a minimum no movement trade clause. Even though he's making less than these core players, his production is equal to how his contract number is. But the question is, who do you want to sign? Matthews, Nylander, or you can afford both. But you're going to have some cap crunches along the way. That's going to be the big question. Back to the UFAs, there are a couple of players that would let go of free agency. Justin Hall is number one. He was terrible at that Tampa Bay series. They better not bring him back or it's going to get worse. Bring back Luke Shea is reasonable because him and Morgan Riley were the best pair throughout this playoff run. Eric Gustafson, I would keep him walking the free market because he wasn't even on their playoff run. He only scored 1 goal and it was in game 3. He wasn't consistent enough. But I really wish he comes back, but I'm not sure at this point. Ryan O'Reilly, it's a question. Will he take a hometown discount? Because he was their second, third best center. And his production may not show that, but he was the one that helped Martinez get to where he is. And I think that if he can continue to be a locker room support, I think Ryan O'Reilly is capable of staying. David Camp, best shutdown center of all Leafs. Because he's been on the penalty kill, and it would be a mistake to let him go. Chicago's finest. And Noah Charlie. Best player, grit, can score. You have to re-sign him. Maybe to a 1.5-year deal or somewhere like that. But you can keep Ryan Riley, David Camp, Noah Charlie, and Luke Shen. That's like the most priority. But there's one thing we should not talk about. Don't bring back Alex Kerfoot. Unless you want to keep him, don't bring him back. Because 3.5 mil, you use that for your defense. There's also one more player that we need to know about. Ilya Samsonov is a restricted free agent. He only signed a 1 year tryout deal. Well, not tryout deal, we call it. We call it a prove-it deal. And he honestly stepped up to the task. He had to play a big load after Matt Murray got injured because of a concussion and all those injuries. And he played suitable enough to get the start against Tampa. He didn't have his best numbers, but it was great in Game 6 that took them to the second round for the first time in 19 years. But I would give her Matt Murray's contract because you are definitely not keeping him with his health issues coming. And with Joseph Wall playing like Jake Andre against the Flames, you have to trust the Samsonov Wall tandem. We just don't know about what Samsonov's going to do, but I would re-sign Samsonov and have Joseph Wall maybe become the starter if Samsonov decides to leave. And also on another note, Kyle Dubas is likely staying with this organization. He made moves that have been successful. The one I was maybe questioning was Eric Gustafsson, but obviously Kyle Dubas is likely staying. The other big question is what do they do with Sheldon Keefe? I mean, do they go on a different coach or do they keep him? The only way to figure this out is we'll see what happens during the offseason and heading into the 2023-24 season. So, Leafs lose in 5, and we will see this team back in free agency market, but we'll see this team on the ice in October of 2023. Have a great day, Leaf fans.